head into our pick ban for game number 3. BLG banning away this Aphelios. They don't want to play Varus this time. Not interested in any more of those shenanigans. And across the rest of the ban's fairly standard from what we've been seeing in the series.
Yeah, I imagine the Pantheon would be the first. Okay. I was actually thinking the Pantheon would be the pick here. This has been a very contested pick throughout this series and one that I think has done very well. I think now, over on the side of RNG, you can go towards the Pantheon. Works pretty well against the Syndra. You get the point-and-click CC. Also, the survivability from the Pantheon as well that the Aegis Assault gives them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that locked in. I'm a big fan against the Syndra of a Galio. Now, whether that's for the support for Ming or whether that be towards Cryin in the mid lane, but it looks like instead we are just going to get the Alistar, who's been one of the answers for Samir in the bottom lane, just in providing that guaranteed point-and-click CC for her when she starts the Inferno trigger.
Yeah, also denies the combo of Alistar Samira, which we have seen devastate bottom lanes across the world. Definitely a terrifying duo matchup to go against, but Leona's still available, so it certainly won't be too much of a struggle to find good CC coming out from Jwei. This would be very telling if this is another game where Jwei ends up just going for the Thresh. That would suddenly be a bit of a question mark for me on Jwei, but it looks like this Olaf might be the pickup here for Meteor.
I'd love to see the Rel. I think the Rel could do really, really well here. Works well with the Samira, but also the ultimate just dragging everyone into the center and setting up really well for the Samira. But looks like, I mean, it's going to be one of those two engages, whether it's the Leon or the Rel. Very similar, just strong lane phase, sets up well for Samira's passive, and then provides the CC that you need to enable Samira in team fights.
Yeah, I do feel a little bit like with Alistar already locked in, it's a bit more difficult for Rel because she can be interrupted by the Pulverize, so I kind of like the Leona coming through. But regardless, let's look towards the top side with the Jace ban being the first one of the second ban phase. What do you expect to see in terms of pools being pinched here then?
Well, at least from RNG side, it's probably the Gangplank next. It looks like they're opting in towards a Gnar blind pick here, or at least setting up for that. Whereas on BLG side, they're much more focused towards the mid lane with Zoe gone, the Orianna gone, maybe the potential for the likes of a Syndra or even a Twisted Fate, because there is still the Camille there, which we could end up seeing something like a Camille Twisted Fate combo or something coming in, and then you're working with the likes of the Pantheon as well, but not 100% certain. Oh, sorry, the Camille is actually a mistake. Yeah. Sorry, banned away, but still we could see this kind of fighter in the top lane that could look to be a split push role.
We have seen RNG do love to build compositions that enable this sort of 1-3-1 style. It's going to be the Syndra though, locked in for Cryin. I'm amazed at how high priority the Syndra has still maintained to be despite the win rate, despite its poor performance. Still one of these picks that many teams will lean towards. Over to the side of BLG then, what are you looking for here, Dags?
I actually want the Akali. Okay, we're going to get the Sylas, but basically fits the same boat for Zeka. Zeka, we've been saying, is great on these more melee assassins in the mid lane, and the Akali does very well against the Syndra. Same when you look at the Sylas, and Zeka's Sylas is probably his best champion, maybe beside the Akali, but certainly in their last series against LGD, he looks really clean on this Sylas, and you've now set up for a very CC orientated composition, very short range composition that will do well in setting up for this Samira.
Alright, well, we see the Gnar. The Jace is banned. The question is, can Xiaohu play Gangplank, or will Xiaohu bring out the old classic Gnar counter in the Yasuo? I'm just going to say it just in case it does come on through. It's not going to happen. My dreams will be shattered before me. What do you expect? Oh, it is the Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate and Syndra in one composition.
I think it's Syndra top.
It has to be, right? You can't send Twisted Fate top, surely.
Yeah, I mean, you can. It's just not as good because you only have access to the mid lane. But this is, like, why does he keep doing this? Xiaohu keeps taking these champions that traditionally do really terribly in side lanes and then putting them into side lanes. Like, Orianna and Syndra are both traditionally champions you do not want split pushing the side lane. But because they've got like Jwei on this Pantheon, he'll have the advantage in the mid lane. You've got Cryin as well, who can go towards this Twisted Fate and lend his strength up towards Xiaohu in the top lane. They're going to be able to get this Syndra into a situation where she can't just be exploited 24/7, but expect RNG now to pretty much abandon that bottom lane. They are not going to touch it. They are all in on protecting Xiaohu in the top lane, which opens up a window of opportunity for BLG, where they, with this Olaf, with this Samira, with this Leona, can get dragons, get the ball rolling, and get themselves into a comfortable mid-game position. Because if they just let RNG scale and get the Xiaohu out of the side lane, they're not going to be in as good of a spot.
You know, Dagda, we spent a lot of time today telling our audience how intelligently RNG draft, how intelligently they play the game. Then they lock in the Syndra top, and I'm a little bit like, well, I feel like there were more optimal picks here. I don't think this was just about intelligence. I think this was more about making sure Xiaohu's got a bit of comfort for himself with a mid laner.
But this is the thing, right? Look at the champions that Xiaohu's played so far. Gnar was gone. You had the Gragas, who doesn't do so hot in towards the likes of the Gnar. Lucian was taken off the board. Camille was gone. Orianna was gone. The Malphite was still there, but not the time to play Malphite into Gnar. Akali was potentially there, but again, doesn't do too hot into the Gnar. And Jace was gone. So, like, his champion pool was already stretched. And then you're just taking it even a step further. So he just falls back towards those mid lane picks. And at least here on RNG's side, they have the tools to play around it. My big concern is this bottom lane, though. With them being left completely on their own, I'm a bit worried that BLG might just try and pigeonhole down towards this bottom side and really cause discomfort for Gala and Ming.
That'll be the question, is how well can Aiming and Jwei do in this bottom side? Because we've talked about Samira lanes in the past, but let's just reiterate. For anyone that's not seen much Samira just yet, if you can get ahead, you will dominate a laning phase. It is so easy to just run away with the game if a Samira gets a couple of kills early on. And Gala, before he's level 6, is very susceptible to that. Doesn't have any mobility on the Sire. Even the ultimate isn't mobility, it's just going to give you protection for a short amount of time. So there's a lot of ways for BLG to exploit that, especially if Olaf can get into the lane. Very nice trade to start this mid lane off, though, from Zeka.
Nice job. We'll set him up pretty well to try and wrestle control of the mid lane for these early scuttles. I want to see how Cryin plays this lane specifically, because obviously you've got the Silas who's able to nick away the Destiny and will be able to join Cryin on his early game adventures. But that only happens once. And I think in this situation, Cryin needs to be more about like not taking the easy teleport top, but actually taking the layman's walk up there to make sure that he doesn't have Zeka there.
Xiaohu is bullying Biubiu like nothing ever before. That is really, really rough. And this is Xiaohu wanting a bit of revenge for what's been happening in that top lane in the last couple of games. Because Biubiu's definitely been getting the best of him. I think maybe this is less just about champion pools and more about Xiaohu saying, look, give me something that I can dominate on.
I mean, it is going to work out, especially against Biubiu, who hasn't, like, how often do you play against the Syndra as a top lane main? Like, you pretty much never get to, and you're not going to expect someone to be able to drop so much damage off of these Dark Spheres so consistently, and Xiaohu definitely very proficient with this pick, should be able to do a lot with it. And now you can see, we just said it, I want to see Cryin getting out early, making his way on his feet up towards this top side, and already we're getting those plays.
Yep, Xiaohu can now deny a whole bunch of CS for Biubiu. You can see Biubiu currently on 2 CS. 2! Now 3. So we have an all-in in this bottom side as well, Ming. Maybe stunned up for a second, but Aiming decides not to follow up, just trying to shove this wave in. Get the lane in a bit more of a favourable position, but won't be able to do it for now because the new wave has arrived.
Look at Meteor though. Roaming down towards this bot side, he's going to get the scuttle. There is the opportunity, if they want to, as this wave bounce back, to try and make some sort of play, or even get the TP down to go for a teleport play on the bottom side. Now Cryin will have an answer in his own TP, but honestly, I think burning that TP now could actually work out pretty well for BLG, as long as no one dies on that play bot side.
We'll see if any kind of TP shenanigans do come through. Doesn't look like that's going to be the play as Meteor retreats into his jungle. He's just going to be clearing through these camps. Dagda, I think we might have a bit of a fight in this bottom side as Ming goes in, takes a lot of damage. The Ignite's taking away 1 or 2 more autos to do it from aiming. 1 more tick and Ming walks away somehow. That was by the seat of his pants, but he gets away with it.
He doesn't even flash. He doesn't even flash. Ming is so confident that he is fine. He doesn't even flash. That is the most boss move ever. Just like, nah, I don't care. I'm going to be fine. I'm outie. Peace.
Yep, he knows he's Alistar. He knows he's tanky with that aftershock. But cool as a cucumber from Ming. And now shoving this huge wave under. You can see Meteor showing on the ward just to try and pressure Gala a little bit, try and deny him some CS. But it's not going to work out too well for them. Should be able to clear most of this up. And the plate will survive as well, so nobody loses out on that plate gold.
Yeah, Jwei as well was on this bottom side, actually tracked Meteor down, was making sure that if anything funky happened, they would have the support there. But they're all going to be totally fine. So as this is going on, I just want to keep track of, hey, you know, we want BLG to make early moves. We want BLG to get these early advantages, and specifically in this bottom lane. Now, we saw Aiming and Jwei actually getting some solo pressure, but Meteor hasn't really been playing too heavily around the spot side. Off of his first reset as well, he's back on top, so he's not going towards these early dragons. I need to see Meteor putting more attention on this bottom side of the map, because you're not going to be able to crack open this top side, especially now that Cryin has the Destiny available. Like, he can go and play around Xiaohu so easily.
Zeka currently has Destiny available. Xiaohu's level 6. Ooh. Had that Q landed, I'm pretty sure that's a kill onto Biubiu, but Biubiu with a nice hop to dodge away from the damage. Xiaohu zooms, so he has to head back to base, but Ming wants to make a play in this mid lane. Zeka's there. Meteor. I don't know if he spotted Ming. He has now, that's for sure. Axe comes on down, and Zeka wants to join in the fray. Jumps on in with the stolen ultimate, but can't turn it into anything for now. First Drake is on the map here, Dagda, and it's an Infernal.
The fact they got that Destiny out of Zeka, though, is a big win for RNG, because now that unlocks Cryin without Zeka just holding his hand to whatever lane they go to. So you can see instantly Cryin is like, shove, we're going to push. I've got Xiaohu who's returned to the top lane with full mana. We want to use this time to make plays. And Biubiu, you're playing with fire there, buddy.
Well, he's in the river, so technically he's playing with water. But he's just gonna give the enemy jungler a little bit of a leash. Nice guy, Biubiu there, just setting way up for success. There's a scat of the week in the top side. Xiaohu hates having mana is the big takeaway that I'm taking from this top side of the map, because he has been just like burning out his spells ASAP. Here we go. Time for a dive in the top side of the map. Xiaohu is going to be able to push the wave in. Gold card comes on through. Biubiu's about to turn Mega though, and this is kind of botched from RNG. In they go. Cryin flashes away from the wallop. Biubiu ignited, stunned up, jumped on, and taken down. Cryin with the first blood of the game. And now RNG can take their reward in this top side.
And RNG will trade that for a dragon happily. RNG are more focused on getting Xiaohu ahead, getting their solo laners in check, and getting these towers down. Because in the later portion, they're just going to opt in towards the split push. They're going to have Cryin in a side lane, probably have Jwei playing a side lane, but maybe even just grouped as 4 people and protecting Cryin. But they want to be making these picks, and the best way to do that is to get the ball rolling in your favor and make sure that you're getting vision and control of these side lanes in your favor.
Really nicely done by RNG to speed up the pace of the game a little bit for themselves. Get Cryin ahead. He's got himself that 1 kill. Xiaohu didn't get the assist. Obviously, he wasn't unable to step underneath the tower, but still extending that lead in the top lane, even without the assist. Look at the CS deficit that Biubiu is having to fight himself from under here. Xiaohu will be able to just clear this last minion and maybe get a recall off, because he is completely once more.
Yeah, and especially for Biubiu, that is hard, because you want to be this tanky now in the team fights. And if you don't have Gore Drinker, you don't have Sterix, it's not really going to do too much for you. Now, they do have the opportunity here, because Zeka's on the Sylas, to answer at least for the split push of Cryin with this Sylas. But it means that Biubiu needs to be in a decent spot to try and fight as the 4. Otherwise, he just becomes another target that RNG can potentially pick off with these teleport plays.
Aiming knew what was coming there. Wei flies across the map. I think Ming kind of gave that one away a little bit. In they go, though, and Jwei trying to force the fight anyway. Ming tanking the tower. He's not got level 6 just yet, but Biubiu is about to turn into Mini Nar, so they can't brute force the play just yet. I'm curious how Biubiu got there. But
that's what I'm saying is, why is Biubiu here? Like, he's already behind. He was mid, I think, but Zeka's kind of pushed him off of that. Now he's losing CS topside.
All right, they're going for Cryin, though. Knockup should be able to... Oh, they don't need the knockup. What am I talking about? Zeka just bops him. Meteor comes in from the side. That's an easy kill onto Cryin. In the meantime, though, Xiaohu, who's just pushing endless waves underneath this tower with no response whatsoever from BLG.
And he's getting plates, he's getting gold, he's got this massive advantage over Biubiu. So Xiaohu's going to be in a pretty nice spot when we get to these team fights. And certainly when it looks at like wave clear and controlling team fights with the Scatter the Weaks, Xiaohu's going to be in prime spot. And I'm not convinced BLG have created enough an advantage on this bottom side. You can see, like, yeah, they got a dragon, you're 10 CS behind in bot lane. They got no real way of answering right now for this mid-game pressure from RNG.
Well, they do have a 10 CS advantage in the jungle, so, you know, silver linings. We'll see what Meteor can turn that 300 gold into. Biubiu's in trouble here. He's going to turn Mega Gnar, but I don't think even Mega Gnar can save you now. Then again, that's a lot of HP. Stuns Ming underneath the tower. Wei's here as well, though. They are throwing everything into the top side, but he's got the counter kill. And he even denies the red buff there. Xiaohu will get a couple of plates. He gets the kill, but it's at least gone 1 for 1. Oh, Gala's in trouble now. Aiming's going to go for the dive here, but... Here comes Twisted Fate. You can't go for that kind of dive. Gromp is going to finish the kill. No, he's stunned and stopped. That's a nice little flash from Gala, though. Once again, Gala is making the aggressive Xayah ult his signature move at this point.
Yeah, just about managing to clip on towards Amy, and the worst timing possible from Amy. You just had Xiaohu kill your top laner. They're totally fine to TP down, and the opportunity for Meteor to trade that aggression top for this turret bot with Rift Herald is now gone. He's quickly running out of time and space to actually get this Herald down in a favorable position.
It's definitely becoming increasingly difficult for this bot side. I feel like that was almost Aiming thinking, you know, he knows that he's the guy that has to win the game for this team. He knows that the statistics are very much about him right now, and I think maybe feeling like he just had to make a play, had to do something to set his team up. But unfortunately, that was not actually a play that'll set his team.
Well, could have the opportunity to set himself up for this dragon. I mean, you got the Immortal Shield Bow already completed, Gore Drinker as well. Like, the 2 mythics completed in this game are both on BLG's side. So maybe they can look to try and force this at the dragon, but it looks like RNG have read this and they're just not interested. They're like, right, we got the Xayah, she's going to need time to scale. We already can try and make these plays up towards top side, but Zeka's beating him to it.
Yeah, speaking of making plays towards top side, it's BLG moving up, but Wei, not to let Xiaohu fight alone here, moves up himself. The stuns are there. Zeka forced to flash away from the fray. Biubiu trying to get this fight going, but he's not that tanky. Still in Mini Gnar form. And it will just be negated in the end. Nice play from Wei to keep his top laner alive.
Needed to be done, especially Biubiu not actually in a position to fight. So in a 2v1, he's great. A 2v2, not so hot. So they decide to back away from that, although Biubiu still wanting more.
Oh, the flash forwards from Biubiu. He wants a solo kill for himself. Don't know if it quite has the damage. Will need a boulder or a boomerang will do the trick. 3 games, 3 solo kills from Biubiu.
And we had just highlighted Xiaohu today, saying, hey, this guy's looking good. He's looking like an actual top laner, probably one of the better ones in the LPL. And Biubiu's gone, hold my beer. Now he needs someone to hold his hand.
Yeah, he's gone a little bit too deep for this one. And just as every time we compliment anyone in the LPL, they immediately just run it down. I swear to God, there's some kind of conspiracy going on. Biubiu, unfortunately, bites off more than he can chew.
And that's why I always abuse you, Munchables, because I'm just trying to make sure that nothing bad is actually going to happen to you. Because the second I compliment you, look what happens. This is it. We can't do it.
That's true. People die when we compliment them, so can't ever say anything nice to each other ever again. Although I will say, they die in video games, and I'm not currently in a video game. These guys are, though, and they want to turn it into more. Jwei tries to recall. I'm not sure about that one. G, as Biubiu hops away. He's going to be stuck in mini now, so if any damage can land, it will kill him, but it doesn't matter, because he's got backup from the rest of his team. RNG have stayed way too long for the tower and get taken down.
And now we're starting to see BLG getting answers for the pressure from RNG. Getting kills back over towards the jungler and towards Cryin will give them a bit of leeway here for Biubiu, get some gold back in his favor, and actually make him, well, relevant again in this game. Need to keep an eye, though, on if BLG are going to be able to turn these dragons they picked up into advantages, because now the opportunity is for Cryin to piece himself off towards this top side, get Xiaohu actually to essentially take the role of mid laner, and now start to look a little bit more scary with the double globals that are on their comp.
Yeah, we need to see RNG pushing the tempo a little bit and trying to find themselves more advantages off the back of these couple of plays. But ultimately, when you look at the gold, this is very similar to what we saw in game number 2. At the 15-minute mark, we saw BLG being just ever so slightly ahead in gold. This time around, it's RNG with a minor lead, but it is that very minor. As we just see the replay of Biubiu flash it onto Xiaohu. Just a bit disrespectful from Xiaohu. And this was really the play to watch out for, as Biubiu doing such a good job to TP in and set up Meteor.
Not quite able to get that TP into a kill. I was kind of surprised to see the backs come through. I don't think they realized that the TP was there in the bush. Maybe we caught window shopping a little bit. Either way, BLG do a nice job. Now Meteor getting in and starting to steal away some of these camps as well. And definitely with the style of jungling that Jwei's gone this game, see there, pretty sizably behind when it comes towards CS. It has been trying to rely more on getting gold and experience from the lane kills, but since he hasn't been able to get a huge amount of them, Jwei's pretty far behind in comparison to Meteor.
Yeah, but he has had some turret plate gold. I think that's one thing to factor in there. We just saw the gold come up on the left, and they are fairly close in gold, just a couple of hundred difference right now. So the turret plate certainly covering up some of the weakness when it comes to the CS numbers and the lack of kills there. See Ming around the mid lane here. They'd love to start a fight. Ocean Drake is going to be up in 40 seconds, and an Ocean Soul, that's one that's worth fighting for.
There's no pressure on the map for RNG though, so Cryin, he needs to come in group, which means BLG can enact a team fight, which is where their team is strongest. They're actually catching Xiaohu. Oh
no, Xiaohu's been caught again, has to flash away, gets reinforcements from Cryin. In goes Jwei to try and save his team. Aegis Assault does a lot. There's a triple pulverize, but it's not enough. There's no follow-up. There's no damage. Gala wasn't there just yet. Now BLG try and collapse for more, but Gala is here now. The Blade Caller could be huge if he can just survive for now, but Zeka's got a stopwatch and he keeps himself safe. Aiming can dive on in, spin around with the Inferno trigger and set RNG ablaze.
BLG are all so low. If RNG had been there when that fight kicked off, maybe they could have turned that around, but as you rightly said, Gala not in a position to follow up. BLG pick up that team fight, they pick up the dragon as well, and you are looking down the barrel of Soul Point and a potential upset here for BLG over RNG.
And just remember, RNG so far not lost a singular series this split. They are 5-0 on the scoreboard. They are 10-2 in individual games. BLG have already given them one extra loss in this series. This would be monumentous for BLG if they can win this game out.
Yeah, and a big mistake here from Xiaohu. Like, he is not on a strong, tank at all. You end up getting caught out there. You see Cryin has to TP in. Gala was still in mid lane, assuming that they were all come through the other entrance in towards River. And by the time he gets there, well, this team fight's already done. And no matter how much damage he's put down and how close they are to killing members of BLG, that's the real crux of the problem.
Xiaohu needs to be a little cautious. And one of the consistent factors in this game, Dagda, has been that, as you said before the game started, Xiaohu, when he's playing these side laners that don't actually want to side lane, like a Syndra, like an Orianna, you're very susceptible to getting caught out. We've seen that a couple of times now across this series where Biubiu is a very experienced top laner, a very strong top laner. And he's more than happy to abuse the fact that Xiaohu maybe will miss position sometimes and maybe will overextend in this longer lane. Xiaohu's used to a very short lane there in the mid lane. Biubiu's been caught though. Stun comes out. He's going to be able to hop away. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, RNG, though, again, committing huge amounts of resources towards him. I mean, look at all 4 members, apart from Cryin, are grouped on this bottom side because they're trying to make sure they can be there to support Xiaohu. And when they're not quite able to get this split push up and rolling, you can see the issues now. Zeka, he's the one with tempo advantage top. They've not got the control of that bottom lane, and it opens up Meteor to get deep vision, start to look for the next bar or for Baron, getting slow control and over this next dragon as well. And if Ocean Soul goes across, you're kind of out the window here for RNG's composition. It's really difficult to start picking people off in the manner that you want with the amount of healing and shielding that comes in, and even just tankiness that is on this BLG side.
Imagine being Lanxing and watching this kind of gameplay from RNG, knowing that back in 2019 you were there and you were this weak side top laner for RNG that was basically ignored at all situations, and then you leave RNG, and just over a year later, this entire team is just like basically Xiaohu and his servants that are all just wherever Xiaohu needs to be. Everyone moves to that side of the map to make sure he's safe. It's like the total opposite of what they did for Lanxing, the poor guy.
Especially when he was Xiaohu before on Suning, and he was actually like a strong carry top laner, and they had Hacker playing up towards him quite a lot on Suning as well. He looked damn good, and then he came to RNG and I was like, you're weak side now. And it's like, oh, okay.
Your extremely weak side, I think is a better phrase here, is Biubiu. He's inheriting some of Xiaohu's traits from this series and overextending on the top side of the map. This is one of the beauties of these global compositions. You see Jwei and Cryin flying in from wherever they need to be and
this
managing to punish.
Is massive though. The fact that you've now, as RNG, got back control of this map with 1.5 minutes until this next dragon, they can get the vision control, look at where the waves are positioned, they now can make these plays happen.
The TP comes in from Zeka, but RNG are not afraid of this tower right now. Zeka's in trouble. Ming using that unbreakable will to keep that front line alive right now. Meteor would love to find a way in, but the Scat of the Week is going to quell that chance as Gala sidesteps from the chain lash. RNG, they get away with that one. They get themselves a tower, they get themselves a TP out of their opponent as well. But it's a minute, Dagda, until this Ocean Drake. This Drake is everything. As Meteor's stunned up. I don't quite turn it into anything for now. Dagda, set me up for this team fight. What do I need to keep my eyes on?
Definitely Biubiu. He's trying to push in this top lane right now. No real TP word from him, so RNG are looking for a pick.
On towards aiming, but Cryin can't quite get in range. Zeka has the unbreakable will, so he'll be tanky in a team fight, can play a sort of pseudo frontline role. Meteor wants to charge in. All ultimates available except for Ming. Blade Caller comes on through in a second here as Jwei's gone onto the backline alongside Zeka. RNG trying to kite back for now, just trying to keep their carries alive, but Cryin forced to flash on the backside of the fight. Jwei burnt down as well, and BLG are winning this fight handedly. Gala has to do everything, but there is Biubiu. You said to watch him, and the Gnar is huge.
That was beautiful from BLG. They're going in aggressive. They're pulling all these big ultimates out of RNG. The Feather Storm, you're getting the flashes out from Cryin. They're trying to push them and poke them, push them into these chokes, and eventually Biubiu, with that flash, gets the massive Gnar ultimate to seal the deal for RNG. The Ocean Soul goes across, the Baron is going to go across as well, and they might have just delivered RNG their first loss with that play.
This could be absolutely huge for BLG across this season. And not to mention that this would be the first time RNG lose a series this season. It would also be a huge statement for BLG, showing that this is not just some middle-of-the-table team that you can forget about. This is a serious contender if they can finish this game out. Keep your eyes on Biubiu here, because his ult later in the fight is just perfect.
Yeah, this was gorgeous to begin with from Gala, avoiding so much, but they're just running down RNG, and in theory they can try and like toss out some stuns, slow them down, but when you're looking at like Olaf, who's consistently throwing out these undertows, you're going to have the dashes that are coming in from Zeka, from Jwei, and also then as well Biubiu tossing out these boomerangs. It's so hard for you to escape Stride Breaker as well on Biubiu, means he's got even more gap closers. So in that situation, RNG have got nowhere to go, and eventually Biubiu does close the distance and again closes out RNG in that team fight.
And I love the build that we're getting to see out from Zeka here on the Silas as well, with the Leandries, with now a Medjai's as well, because he can just steal away this unbreakable will for the team fights. And basically, there is no negatives to having the unbreakable will. You're just completely tanky while still doing a ton of damage with this kit, with this Leandries especially, and you can't die, so the Medjai's makes sense. Like, this is brilliant for Silas.
And it looks like he's going towards that Demonic Embrace as well as that next item, like going pretty much for this full split push roll where it becomes very difficult to duel you because you were so tanky, you got a ton of burn damage, and then you've got the lifesteal and the healing coming up pretty repeatedly. So nice job from Zeka here. Gets out to Wei.
Wei using the Aegis Assault to keep himself alive underneath the tower there, but BLG, they get to just siege up as much as they want here. They've got the Baron in their pocket, so they can keep this going all day long. 3.5 minutes, Dagda, until an Infernal Drake spawns on the map. And it doesn't feel like BLG will be able to end the game before that happens. That could be the last ditch attempt for RNG to keep themselves in this game.
It's so difficult as RNG to fight for that Elder Soul. Oh, hang on.
Xiaohu getting dived. Great CC chain, and Xiaohu does not get to play League of Legends today. In fact, maybe the whole of RNG don't, because in they go with the Inferno Trigger, trying to finish him off. Cryin with the Zonyas keeps himself alive for a second, but goes down. Gala, Blade Caller through the team, but Meteor is happy to tank it up. Aiming gets himself a triple and turns it into 4. Might as well be playing Jin as he wins out the game for BLG.
And now, as you said, they can just close this out. Baron is still there. The TPs are coming into this mid lane with 30-second death timers. It looks like BLG have done it.
Beautiful stuff from BLG. Biubiu looking exceptional. Zeka as well on this Silas, but it was Jwei that started that fight off. The guy on his 23rd day as a professional player sets up the fight that brings down RNG and gives them their first loss of the entire season. BLG take this one 2-1.